Hey y'all, welcome back. So today we are going to be making liquid soap, and I want to show you the process of it. I've already got my oils weighed out in the cookers waiting. They're starting to melt down. They haven't completely melted down, but this is our water solution. In this container, I'm making soap paste for my normal hand soap, and then in this one we actually have an experiment where I'm going to try to take my shampoo bar and turn it into a liquid soap. So through this process, what we're actually going to do is called soap paste. So you're actually going to, before you get to liquid soap, you have to make a solid soap paste. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I've already done is I've weighed out my lye here. And this is actually a different lye than what you use in your bar soaps. This is your potassium hydroxide, and it's actually called KOH, and it comes in flake form, as to where your normal lye comes in a beaded form. You'll be able to tell them apart quite easily, and your soaps definitely won't set up right if you use the wrong one. So what we're going to do, like I said, I've already got it weighed out. I've already got my water weighed out here, and so what we're going to do is just slowly dump in our lye. And don't be fooled, because the lye is different. This is going to get pretty hot too. So if you go dumping too much, or you're starting with a warm liquid, you're going to want to let it calm down. I don't know if you can hear it growling at me, but it'll actually growl when it starts to melt because it heats up. And that's why it's imperative to do it little bit by little bit, because, well, you can't get it too hot too fast. This is why I always use mason jars, because I know that they can take the heat because of canning and everything else. So we just keep adding it. And I've got it sitting up on my cutting board too, so that way it doesn't burn up my countertops. Okay. And that was actually, for the water amount we have here, that is actually, it was a whole bottle of one of those, because of the amount of oils we have for the hand soap. And I perfected the hand soap a long time ago, the soap paste recipe for that. So I don't have to kind of say, oh, well, I'm going to make a little bit, right? And then hope it doesn't, blow up. So this one is our shampoo. And we want to get this one. This one, as you see, is going to be a lot less. You see our water amount's a lot less, because I'm making a smaller batch, right? So in making this smaller batch, because I don't want to make a massive amount of soap paste and then come to find out it fails and it doesn't work as a shampoo, and now I've just got some weird concoction. I have to figure out what to do with it. So because that one's a smaller amount, I don't know if you guys can hear that growling, but it'll get pretty hot pretty quick. And you see how they're cloudy? You see how this one's starting to clear up a little bit? When it goes completely clear, you're going to know it's close to where, it's all kind of infused how it should be. And this is why I usually start my lye solutions around the same time I start melting my oils. So they kind of sometimes come in about the same time. So that way, I'm not sitting here with a whole bunch of oils waiting to melt down, and then my lye is ready to go. Again, it's a hot process soap to make soap paste, so it's not like you have to worry about your temperature varying as much, but you do want that lye to kind of settle before you go mixing it in. So I guesstimate with how much I have left in this, it's probably going to be about 30 minutes before that's all melted down. So we're going to come back at that point and I'll show you the next step in the process. And making soap paste is very detailed in the process. It's easy once you figure it out, but it does take some time to kind of step through the processes. And usually from start to finish, when you actually have your completed paste, it can be anywhere from 4 to 12 hours. But once you get your soap paste, usually I make enough that fills up 2 mason jars. I sometimes put them in the smaller ones because they're easier to get out. So then I would, of course, end up with 4. But it will actually sit on your shelf. If you have it closed off and sealed, it will sit on your shelf for 2 years. Do you think when you make this, you've got a 2-year shelf life where you know that you've always either got, hopefully, a liquid shampoo that I've come up with, or you have at least a dish soap. And with this hand soap here, it's actually kind of nice, but if you were trying to strip your hair and needed a clarifying shampoo, you could actually use this recipe, but your hair is going to be straw. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a liquid shampoo that actually has a moisturizing complexity to it. So I put in like shea butters and stuff like that, trying to bring some of the moisture back in. And I'm leaving a lot of the fat afterwards so that way it can condition your hair. So I'll actually, if it makes it, we'll actually go through and I'll try to wash my hair and stuff like that and see if it makes it. I'll let you guys know. So like I said, we'll come back in about a half hour and we'll see where we are on our meltdown for our oils, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, we're back. This one still has a little melt to go, but we're going to go ahead and get started on this one. If you're doing 2 batches at once, of course you can still use the same immersion blender, but like this one only has olive oil and coconut in it, so I would start with this one and then I would move to this one that has coconut, olive oil, shea butter, and castor, right? So I would start with this one, and then when I'm done mixing up this one, I move to this one, so that way the oils from this one don't mix back to this one. So what we're going to do, and it's imperative to take it as slow as you possibly can take it, because you can and you will burn up your immersion blender if you try to go too fast with mixing these. It takes a little bit longer for these to set up than it does for your normal bar soap with this type of lye. So we just got to kind of take it slow and easy until we get the consistency. And this time we're going to be looking for like a mashed potato consistency. So after I pour this in, once I get it started, I'll reset it so you guys can kind of see. I'll reset the camera angle so you guys can kind of see what's going on inside, how I'm mixing it. But let's get this started. Remember, this is still very hot. So if you don't have the strength, because you don't want to just grab it, right? It can be way too hot for your hands. So if you don't have the strength in your hand for one pour, or you can tolerate heat, then that's fine. You just take it and pour it in. And I'll show you like more with the smaller batch too. And we're just going to kind of start by stirring it around. Get it mixed up nicely before we start to use our immersion blender. And right now it looks like coffee with way too much creamer in it. Let me put my glasses back on because it can and will fly back out at you. Let me get this started and then I'll change the camera angle. Do you see how it's starting to change on the top here? So you see now how it's got that, you can kind of almost draw with it. So this is getting to trace now. So you can, trace your name, trace your finger, however you want to put that. But with this, again, this has probably taken us about 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, my immersion blender is pretty warm, and that's just pulsing it and pulsing it and pulsing it. But we're getting close. The key with this is you cook like your normal soaps that you're going to do hot process, you do them on low, but like my liquid soaps, I cook them on high because what you're trying to do is get to that gel phase quicker, which I'll show you through the process as well. All right, we're going to put the top on this one. And then we'll start on our other one. Okay, so it looks like the oils in this are all melted down. So we're just going to take our lye solution again and stir in just like we did on the other side. If you feel like your immersion blender is just too hot at this point, if you're doing 2 batches, then of course you can always wait. Like I said, you don't really have to pay so much particular to whether your oils are the same temperatures or not, right? Because you're cooking them. If this was a cold process type of thing, well, then of course you'd have to have another immersion blender. And I usually have 2 or 3 of them around here because when they go, they just go. They don't give you any warnings. So we're just going to pour this in like we did with the other one. I think it's kind of cool how it changes the color of it immediately. And we'll start blending. Mix it. Now, this one doesn't have as much liquid, so hopefully it won't take as long. Alright, so you see with this one, we're now at trace. So we're going to cook for a little while. See, you can really see it good here. So yeah, see trace. So, whoo, that immersion blender is hot. That might be the understatement of a year. Might be a small fire in there. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to put the top back on this one. And then you're going to come back and you're going to stir this about every hour to check on the consistency. Make sure it's setting up the way it's supposed to. So like I said, we'll come back. You can. All right, guys, it's been about an hour. So we're just coming back to check it. You see that water's all mixed in. That oil, that separation we had previously is all mixed in. This one's got a lot of water in it. So this one always takes a little while to set up. But you see it's getting some firmness to it. So we're just going to put the top back on that one. I anticipate this one taking much longer. But let's see. As you can tell, this one is drastically different. See, it's starting to get a shine to it, which tells me that it's getting close to the gel phase. Now, with this one set up the way it is so far, if it was, evening time and I wanted to, go to bed, like maybe it took a while for this to get to this, you could almost at this point take it, turn off the heat, and let it sit overnight, and it will continue to work itself because it's set up so beautifully. But we're not going to do that today. I'm going to show you all the way through to the completion. But if you were to do that, you would just turn it off. You would unplug it, and then you would just cover it with a towel and let it sit overnight. When you came out tomorrow, it would be your finished product. So it's kind of cool. So I'm probably not going to come back and check every hour on this with you guys. But when we get to the complete gel phase, I will show you that part. All right, guys. So now it's been a couple hours. You see how now it has like a Vaseline kind of consistency to it, but it's a lot firmer than Vaseline for sure. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the heat off on this one. Just kind of cover it and let it firm up. And this one over here is still working itself out. But like I said, I knew that one was going to take a while because of the moisture in it. The smaller batches, of course, don't take as long. But like I said, I'm going to turn this off. And we'll come back once she's cooled off. Hey guys, so I let those crock pots sit overnight and kind of went about my business. So when you get to the point where your gel phase has started, right, you're going to turn off your crock pot like I showed you, and then you're going to cover it with a towel once it's turned off and let that heat kind of sit in all night. And then what ultimately ends up happening is you end up with this lovely gel paste that, like I said, I end up putting mine in these smaller jars, because usually what you can do, especially for the hand soap, is you can take this entire quart jar, and you can put that back in your crock pot, and then you'll end up diluting it with, once you know your weight. So usually what you do is you'll take your crock pot, you'll put it on your scale, you'll zero out your scale, and you'll dump this entire thing in there. And that, once you get your weight, whatever your ounces come up weight-wise, is how much distilled water you're going to put in to dilute it, or hydrosol. You can also dilute this with a hydrosol if you prefer. And then once you end up getting back out of it, you will get 2 of your half gallons back out. And so you can store these on the shelf with oils in them if you want to do them scented all the same at the beginning. They will have usually about a 12 to 18 month life, but you will need to go back and keep shaking them to distribute the oils evenly through. I usually store mine without oils in them and then add the oils as I want to. Your soap paste, if sealed, will sit on your shelf for 2 years. And then as you open it, if you're only doing small amounts at a time, you start to kind of cut into that time frame, right? Your clock starts ticking once you open it up. So I actually enjoy making the liquid soaps. I enjoy making all of my soaps, but the liquid soaps I think get a little bit more adventurous. What this is ultimately end up being is a Castile soap, right? So we're all very familiar with Castile soaps. You can do it with an olive oil and coconut, or just olive oil. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's a lot of good recipes out there to try this, and then you can kind of make them your own, like what I've done with mine. I encourage you guys to do it. I hope you enjoyed watching this process. Thank you for stopping by, and have a great day.